Now, we at original-gamer.com are not a bunch of douches that go on and on about how gaming was ruined by 3D. We admit that sprites from classic games do have a certain charm to them. There is so much beauty to be found in games today, though, that to miss out on it all just for the sake of the good old days would be a damn shame. While we tossed out our rose-colored glasses a long time ago, we do realize that some games should have stayed in 2D. 3D does not automatically make a game better, and it can kill a great franchise if abused. So here are the top 5 game franchises that should have stayed in 2D. Number 5. Bionic Commando. Bionic Commando first appeared on the arcade, but reached legendary status upon making its jump to the NES. It was a hard yet fun romp through a slew of foot soldiers, with the final boss being a revived Adolf Hitler. In 2008, Capcom had the great inspiration to remake the NES game, and it was pretty damn good, bringing back fond memories of the original. Naturally, with everyone creaming their pants over the remake, Capcom thought that everybody would love a 3D Bionic Commando. Bionic Commando in 3D was fucking horrible. The hero, Nathan Spencer, was an emo asshole to the point where you wanted to stick his bionic arm right up his ass. And that's just the beginning of the horror. The graphics were bland, the controls sucked balls, and the multiplayer was a steaming pile of fail. The game was so shitty that not only did the developer Grin go out of business, but Capcom said that Western developers sucked and questioned whether they should make any more games for them. Thanks a lot, Grin, for raping our beloved memories and making the Japanese hate us even more. Number 4. NBA Jam. NBA Jam took arcades by storm in 1993. The 2-on-2 b-ball action was incredibly fun and exciting compared to the boring, realistic basketball sims of the time, like Lakers vs. Celtics. NBA Jam Tournament Edition continued the greatness by adding more players, bigger dunks, and kept the fun times going. In 1996, with 3D slowly becoming the next big thing, thanks to the emergence of the PlayStation, Acclaim decided to release NBA Jam Extreme. And fuck did it suck. Lost was all the charm and fun of the first 2 games, and instead we were given an ugly mess of a game. It failed in every aspect, including its horrible loading times. Oh, and look who's on the cover, for Pete's sake. Mr. Sean, I have a kid in every state, Kemp. There was no way this game was going to be any good, and it wasn't, and Acclaim had to go out of business before EA came to take the franchise into a new direction with EA's upcoming NBA Jam. Let us pray that it goes well. Number 3. Mortal Kombat. On original-gamer.com, we talk about Street Fighter quite a bit, but we all know that Mortal Kombat had a significant role in making fighting games as big as they are today. Well, that was until Mortal Kombat 4. Everything about Mortal Kombat 4 was just wrong. Yes, the digitized actors were cheesy, but the 3D they used was so blech. The fun of the game was sucked out of it in an attempt to make MK a more serious fighting game. In any case, the series was not an ultimate failure when it jumped to 3D, but it definitely lost its iconic status that it enjoyed in its 2D days. Midway also went out of business just like the previous entries, so you can kind of see a trend here. Number 2. Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic's fall from grace is so spectacular it should be a VH1 special. Sonic was the perfect mascot for Sega in the 16-bit war. He showed everybody that Sega does what Nintendo don't, and the first Sonic game produced a huge amount of sales for his parent company. Sadly, Sega's lack of understanding on how to hold on to that popularity screwed them up severely after the Genesis. At first, the jump to 3D went great. Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast was yet another showcase of Sega's attitude. Bigger, faster, and better than Nintendo. It had everything that Sonic fans wanted in a great 3D package. After that, the series went to hell with shitty game after shitty game after shitty game. One of gaming's most beloved characters became a big joke, which is kind of like what happened to Sega as a whole. With Sonic 4 though, the series has reverted back to 2D. Fans are already trashing it, but can you blame them considering all the shit they've been through the past 10 years? And the number 1 game franchise that should have stayed in 2D? Castlevania. While not nearly as popular as Sonic, Castlevania takes the top spot here because there has simply never been a good 3D Castlevania. They all stink. The stink started on the Nintendo 64 with Castlevania 64, and it's been crappy ever since. They're not fun, they look horrible, and there is nothing interesting about them. In the end, they all suck a big dick. The sad thing is that for every crappy 3D Castlevania, there have been numerous quality 2D Castlevania games released on the handhelds. So it's not bad enough that the 3D ones have been horrible, but the 2D games have been some of the best games of the entire franchise. In fact, one of the reasons why the series hasn't become a joke like some of the other ones we've mentioned is because the great 2D versions have kept the series respectable. Castlevania Lord of the Shadows is on the horizon, looking to be the first quality 3D Castlevania game. But let's just say that while we're hoping for the best, we won't be too surprised if it fails. And this has been Original-Gamer.com's top 5 game franchises that should have stayed in 2D.